Hey guys, how are we doing?
What's up, everybody? Wake up! You should
Are you
be already
sleeping?
woke,
You better
though.
not be sleeping.
It's
5 o'clock, 5:30.
5:30. You should be woke.
At this point.
Well woke.
Yes.
And dressed.
And dressed.
No pajamas.
Oh, yes, agreed.
No,
That
well,
should be a thing.
I guess it depends on what your pajamas look like.
I guess so. What pajamas are okay to wear? Like, I don't need to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh man. Well, tonight's gonna be a little bit different, guys. We're not doing a series. We're not kind of putting any major thing together for you. We just wanted to talk, kind of just have a conversation
To you.
from the heart. That's right. No, but really, we did. We just kind of
Right.
want to have a conversation. There's been so much that the world has been facing for months now, right? And I know I've felt the strain of it. I'm sure you felt the strain
Absolutely.
of it. And I know you guys have. Every time I talk with you guys, like there's something with school or with work or, there's always something that feels a little different. I was even thinking about Halloween in our neighborhood this last weekend just was different, right?
Very
It's
weird.
very strange. And so Sharman and I just wanted to have just a conversation about life and how we're doing and where does God fit into all of the crazy that is the world right now, right?
Amen.
Yeah. So,
Amen.
in light of that, let's just start with this. Like, Sharman, how about for you, like, these last, I don't even know what it is. I feel like the world shut down back in March, so that's 8 months, 8 months. Like, how are you? What's this season been like for you?
Well, I always say this, or I have been saying this in conversations with people, I guess during COVID and post-COVID. Because for me, I was kind of already in a transition.
Yeah.
Because I had left my job. I was going on 2.5 years of not working.
Jeez.
Because being obedient, God said leave, and I just really started to walk in it. So for me, it was kind of like, even though it was craziness going on, like I had not craziness, but I had my own struggle that I kind of was battling
before.
with. So it was kind of like when COVID came, you hear certain people like, I'm losing my job or I can't go to work. I'm like, well, I'm 2 years in. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm still battling, but I'm finding
It's just
my
more
peace.
of the same, yeah.
Right? I'm kind of getting comfortable in my struggle to a certain extent, while the rest of the world is like
going crazy.
So for me, the flip side of it, I guess, when I think about it, although it's been crazy, it's been a blessing for me because in COVID, I ended up here.
That's crazy. Like to move across the country
During
in
the
the middle of
pandemic.
like what in the world? That's nuts, man.
I think it goes to the perspective of how we navigate during these seasons.
Yeah.
Because it could be preparation for God, for you in your life, for God to kind of position you where He needs to position you. I think COVID is definitely a atrocious thing that we all hate because it has deprived us of just the ability just to live.
Yeah.
Just go outside, talk to your friend, be in close proximity of people that you love and care about. Just a simple fact, like one of my friends just recently, matter of fact, Friday, had a heart attack.
Oh, jeez.
And to think her parents or her loved ones can't come to the hospital and see, like, just to think about that on that side, like, that is so far-fetched. When have you ever went to a hospital and they said you can't go in and check
Right,
on
and
her?
have visitors. Yeah, that's crazy.
So I think finding that balance in that is you still have a reality. Even if things are going good, there are still at some point a reality is going to hit you where you're like, okay, this is abnormal from what I'm used to.
Yeah. Well, and it hasn't just been COVID
Right.
either. Like, this season has also had like massive racial tension.
Absolutely.
And all of the crazy that has been happening with the election and it's just been nuts. I think for me, like, if I'm honest, I've had a lot of transition too, obviously, like becoming a mom in the middle of all of this too.
Woo, woo.
I know, it's been awesome. That has been the highlight of 2020, but it has also been hard and challenging and isolating, and I don't know, I found myself at different, like, I feel like I've been on a roller coaster these last 8 months, honestly. Like, there have been times where I feel like I'm good, I'm hanging in there, and other times where I just feel really discouraged and really unmotivated, and just like this low level, like, I don't know if it's depression, I don't know if it's what, but just kind of this very
It's
like
I don't know, blah.
yeah,
You feel
yeah,
very blah.
exactly. And just overwhelmed, like every time, you know, like there were times where I literally just want to chuck my phone across the room because I'm like, I don't want to look at this crap anymore about what's happening in the world. I mean, even like, I mean, that's for me. I know mental health for people has been a really big thing. Like, I know obviously for a lot of adults, but I know even from talking with some of you guys, like these last however many months there have been moments where it's just felt
It's too
heavy.
overwhelming. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
heavy
overwhelming.
or anxiety inducing or whatever. So I know that that's a very real thing. And so I think part of this is just kind of going, okay, where are we at now? And quite honestly, like, what do we do with this? Because we don't know what's going to happen. You know, I think like we've all got a lot of hope that things will get better and this will change and that'll change and that'll change. But at the end of the day, like, I don't really know what's going to happen next week, in a couple of months. Like, I don't know that. And so I think part of this is just going, okay, what do we do with this now? So.
And I think like too, I think like even as it pertains to mental health, I think I can speak from, I guess, my perspective, and I'm sure some of you may be able to attest to this, some of you may not be. Just depends on the person, I guess. And I think even as it pertains to mental health, I think we live in such a society to where it's like, I'm always on the go, gotta be on the go, gotta perform it, gotta keep doing it. We don't take time to check that side of our lives or our well-being until we've already like tipped over.
Yes.
You know,
That's so true.
We're not proactive. And, you know, we can be proactive about a lot of different things in our lives. But when it comes to mental health, I think we've conditioned ourselves to
like push through it.
it's like it's the norm. Like, it's okay, you'll get through it. Like, you know what? And it's like, no. Because what you're doing is you're just taking it and throwing it in a bin, closing it. And then after a while, that bin is not going to close. And that's when everything's just going to pop out on you. And then it's like, well, what happened? You didn't take the time to make sure, no, that bin needs to be empty. Like, I need to deal with that. Just recently, I was telling you about a friend of mine that you know was struggling with mental health, and I just think it's so important to be proactive with that and take out the time to really sit down, have people around you that can speak into your life of that. I mean, may not change your situation, but it can change your perspective. That'll allow you to kind of navigate through that in a more healthy way.
You know, just as a side note, guys, like, this season for you may have felt really heavy, but I also think that there are a lot of you guys that really have been doing really well. So I'm not making any assumptions that I know. I think some of you guys have felt like everybody's going, the world sucks for our teenagers, and I'm not assuming that you are in a negative spot, but here's what I do know. I know that for a lot of people, a lot of us, it has felt heavy. And so I think we just want to have a conversation about that. And even if that's not now for you, there will be times and seasons of your life that are going to feel heavy or overwhelming, or, you know, like the world's out of control. And so that's really kind of why we wanted to have this conversation tonight. But if you are in a spot where you're struggling, know that you're in good company and you've got a safe place to talk about it tonight.
Absolutely. And never forget that. I know that's something she takes very seriously, and you guys are just getting to know me, but please understand I take that very seriously. So you guys have access to us, you know, in any shape, any time. Like, I don't care. Feel free. Like, you know, you need somebody to talk to because it's important.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, what do we do with this, though? You know, you were telling me about some scripture that you read the other day, and it just totally resonated with us.
You know, that's in Philippians 4, around like verse 11 through 13. And Paul is just pretty much talking about like how to be content in present struggles, no matter what the circumstances is, whether you have a lot, still be content. Like, and I think that the balance and the duality of that, it means so much, because I think we only focus on when we lack. How do I still have a healthy perspective?
Yeah.
But we forget that even when you have, how to still have a healthy perspective, because how you deal with when you have a lot will dictate how you deal when you have a little. If you're riding on 10 just because you got a lot, when you get a little, guess what? You're gonna be on 0 now. So Paul just really breaks down like how do we navigate and be content in our present sufferings and our present successes. And that's something that I think, from a perspective of any Christian, any believer, that's not easy.
Yeah.
We have to. That's something you have to attain over time. But you have to be willing to go after it. My favorite verse is Philippians 3, verse 13 through 14. It's like, brothers and sisters, I have not, reached that goal, but I continue to press toward that high mark, or that goal. And I think that's how it is with like having a positive attitude. It's like you got to continue to press toward that in aspects of life. So you said something earlier.
Well, here's the thing. Like, Paul wrote this in prison.
Like, how's it possible?
He does. Well, and it's not like he knew he was going to get out. He didn't know he was going to get out.
Absolutely.
He didn't know what was going to happen.
Absolutely.
For all he knew, that was just going to be the rest of his life, right? And how do you get to a point? Like, that's the thing that, like, where I don't get Paul sometimes. Where sometimes I feel like in the situation that we're in right now, like, we do not know the outcome.
Right.
We don't know the outcome. We don't know when COVID's going to be done. We don't know when our country's going to be a little bit less bananas. Like, we don't know that. And so how does Paul, like, that's what I so badly want to know, is going, like, if I could sit down with Paul, like, right. Paul, how do I get there? Like, how do I have hope in a world that I don't know what the outcome is going to be?
I'm going to ask you this question. I mean, you said this that made me think about it earlier. And you just tell me whether or not you feel you did or you didn't. Yeah. Like, during your pregnancy, did you have any moment, like, where it was, like, just tough and discouraging? Whether, you may have not have had, like, a pregnancy scare to the point where it's like, oh, something, but it got to a place where you just overwhelmed, you had anxiety, or you kind of just didn't know. Like, did you have any moments during your pregnancy to where it was kind of like, ooh, this is a bit much, and I don't know what's on the other side?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. It was right before Harvey was born. I'd been going in for regular, like, ultrasounds just to make sure everything was okay and everything had been fine. And then one day it wasn't. And fluid levels had kind of dropped, which for me, I was like, we're like really close to delivery anyway. Like, it's fine, right? And then basically what happened is I went in another day and they were like, you're going literally from here to the hospital. Like, you're going there now. We're going to deliver. And I was not ready for that at all. It was totally like, this is not what I had planned. Like, are we good? Are we going to be okay? So yeah, I mean, yes, to answer your question.
So to that point, after that, like, at what point did you get that peace? Like, at what point did you get to a place where it was like, okay, God, I don't know what's going on. I was not expecting this. I don't know how this situation is going to end, but I trust you. Like, at what point? Being transparent, you may have not gotten to that point.
No, it's funny. It's funny that you say that, because I did. I definitely did feel that. We were in the hospital, and, I don't know if there was a specific point where I felt good and then I didn't, or I was anxious and then I wasn't anymore. But, when Jeremiah and I got there were just a lot of things that didn't go the way that I was anticipating them to. Neither one of us. And it was scary. I mean, even at one point, like, his heart rate was going up and down, and it was like, what in the world is going to happen here? But I just remember, I mean, both Jeremiah and I felt like we're okay. And it's funny because I think a lot of it was we've seen God move over and over and over and over, even in like everything that happened leading up to that point where Harvey was born. we had seen God do this and this and this and this, and so it was just kind of like he knew what he was doing there.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be okay here, and Harvey's gonna be okay here. And I don't know. There wasn't like a point other than we knew that. And it was just this sense that God's got us. He's had us before, and he's got us now.
So even to that point, I think that's how Paul got through it. You know, I think, and I think sometimes it seems so far-fetched to us when we do it every day. We literally live it out every day. It's just the perspective. It's like you reach that point to where you just say, I gotta stop hoping in my desired outcome. I gotta stop hoping in self, like whatever that is. I gotta stop thinking, well, God, I wasn't supposed to go to the hospital until I was ready to give birth. It was supposed to be like this. He was supposed to come out crying. You know, he was supposed to, you know, Jeremiah was supposed to be standing next to me, holding my hand, and I was squeezing it because I was in pain. It was supposed to happen like this. And when it doesn't, it's like we have to say, okay, God. And I think for Paul, Paul said, okay, God, I know my story. I know what you brought me from. I used to actually be killing these people.
Yeah.
So you have transitioned my life in such a great deal that I do feel like Paul had moments when he was writing and he was like, today's not a good day. My spirit is heavy. And maybe, you know, or maybe he didn't write it. Maybe he only wrote the positive.
Maybe he thought it.
Or maybe he thought it. Or maybe those words or those thoughts was like scrambled up and tossed out of the jail cell. But I think he had, I feel like him being human, he had those moments. But I think what he had to remind himself, I had to encourage myself to, God's got this. Yeah. So I got to find hope. Because if I keep looking at around me, ain't no guard coming to let me out. I mean, God, you could open the cell door, but you probably not.
Right.
So let me just hope in you. And I'm good.
Right. And I don't have to know the outcome.
But what it does take, though, it takes us going through life and being able to experience God's love, God's mercy, and God's grace for us to gain that type of attitude toward God. Because if I don't know I can trust you, how can I trust you?
Yeah, man, that's good. It makes me, this is so silly. When I was in high school, I remember my youth pastor talking about a God file. Like he literally kept like a file folder in his office. And anytime that he would see God do something in his life, he'd write it down and stick it in the file, right?
Okay.
And so then when he would hit a season, I know, this is silly, but he'd hit a season where it's like, I don't know, I don't feel like super confident. He'd pull it out and he'd go, no, I've seen God do this. 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 Like, I'm okay. He's got this season too.
He was genius because this is the God file. So why can't we keep our own? And I think
that's good.
It encourages us. That's what produces hope. Like I've always feel like when we just break things out in the most simplest terms, if you know there's a person that you can go to no matter what you need, no matter how late, no matter what it is, and they're gonna come through for you. In those moments, because you're gonna stress, you're gonna have anxiety. You're going to panic. We're human. It's just normal.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Right.
However, how you respond after that initial human moment dictates everything that follows. Because if you remind yourself, why am I panicking? I know my daddy got me. Yeah. I had to trip. Like, let me just call my dad and like, all right, Dad.
It's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine. And you know that. And then once you hear those words, it's like, okay, cool. And I think we forget that to remind ourselves God has brought us, I don't care how old you are. Like, I don't care if you're 3. Probably can't even express yourself, but God has done something for that 3-year-old. And yeah, they may not be able to comprehend it as of yet. But as you get older, God is always moving in our lives. God don't wait till we turn 21 and say, all right.
And now I'm going to show up.
No,
right.
he's been there since day one. So you have to remind yourself, no matter what phase you are in life, like, okay, God, this may be uncomfortable. Because uncomfortable seasons, trying seasons, tough seasons, all of these seasons will come. But what is your point of reference? Are you going back to a God-founded system like, okay, if God did this for them, Okay, well, just think about my life. Let me sit here and contemplate. Okay, God, you got me through that. You got me through that. You got me through that. So you know what? Why would you stop?
Yeah, that's good. You know, you were talking about that to me just the other day too, that in this season, this could have been a season for you that easily would have looked really different than it does.
And you know, and it's funny. It's not funny. I don't know. Why do we say that? We say, and it's funny, and then say something serious like, that wasn't funny. Why did you say that? It's interesting. Because, you know, I come from a, like, very close-knit family. Very close-knit family. And being away from my family in this season, it initially, I'm not going to say it's bad now, but it wasn't, you know, I'm like, okay, God, I'm in purpose. Like, I know you called me here.
Yeah.
You caused me to be here. So my perspective is not looking so much on like, well, I'm losing something. It's like, well, I'm gaining. I didn't look at it as like, well, I'm losing everything. I got my family and all. And it's like, no, you're gaining. So, because I still have them. I didn't lose anything.
Right.
They're still right where they are
Yeah.
back home. And I think one of the trying moments was when I lost my grandfather earlier last month. Not being able to, because given the fact that like I'm always the one that's doing everything. So when something happened, everybody calling me, or I'm the one that's in position.
Yep, that's true.
So it was interesting because I'm like, okay, I'm by myself. Like, how do you navigate through these emotions? Like, you just lost somebody that's very near and dear to your heart. Like, how do you have hope in this situation? Like, how do you respond to this? And for me is understanding I'm human. It's okay for me to be upset. But at the end of the day, like, what is your hope in? You know, is your hope in people and things? Is your hope in your family?
Yeah.
I mean, now, the healthy balance in that is like, yes, you love your family, you appreciate your family. But there's a line that you have to draw, and you have to say, okay, where's my hope at? Though my hope is in my Heavenly Father. Okay, so that means no matter what happens, I don't lose hope. I may be bothered, but I still have a hope that keeps me sane in certain moments.
Man.
And in this season, I've really, God has allowed me to just experience that even the more. Because it's like when I think we say this cliche, but my eyes are set on Jesus.
Yeah.
And when your eyes are set on Jesus, it doesn't mean that you don't look and say, that just happened. No, you look at it, you acknowledge it, but you set your eyes back onto where they need to be.
That's good.
So you can better navigate through those moments.
Yeah. You know, and it's so true. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this too, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, that there are so many people right now that are putting their hope so many places, right? Like, we'll be okay once there's a cure for COVID. We'll be okay if this person gets elected. Right, we'll be okay. Yeah, we'll be okay once the government fixes everything.
Right.
You know, like, and so many people are putting their hope in things of this world, and whenever we do that, we will always be disappointed.
You will always
We're always going to be disappointed. Or, you know, the other thing I see people doing, and this has nothing to do with this time, I'm putting my hope in this boyfriend or girlfriend because I want to be loved, right? Like, so I hope that they love me.
Right.
I hope that my mom or my dad actually figures out their life and tells me that I'm valuable, that I'm worth it.
And I'm loved.
Yeah, that I'm loved. Right, like, we put our hope in people, and not that we need people, but when our hope, when our security, our confidence is in things of this world, we will always be disappointed. But when our hope is in Jesus,
you will never get let down. Like, period. It's not like, there's not a moment in life to where I can say I put my hope in Jesus and got let down. I have put my hope in people and things, and it didn't turn out the way that I expected. So I got let down. And I think a lot of times when we shift perspective of things and people and expectations of people, you find yourself even being more beneficial to them because you don't put that demand on them to fulfill and like accomplish something that they can't even accomplish. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were just talking about just relationships to this aspect. It's like, when you put God at the, whatever it is, when you put God at the center of it, especially relationships, you take such a burden off that other person to perform.
that's so true.
Because you're not hoping for them to complete you, to make something happen. All you're doing is like, My hope is in God. So if you don't do it, that mean it wasn't meant. If we don't work out, okay, God, that mean it wasn't meant.
Yeah.
Because I'm not having my hope in the outcome in you. I'm having my hope in the outcome in God, which he can't let me down. It's a win-win. Either one or two things are going to happen. It's going to happen the way we wanted it to, or I'm going to learn my lesson from it.
Man.
You can't, but when we do it in people, it's only one way it's going to happen. You're going to be let down, disappointed, heartbroken, and you're going to have baggage to carry, because now you're going to go through the lens of looking at everybody like, oh, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to let me down too.
Yeah. That's what it means to trust Jesus above anything else, man. That's so good. So we got a question for you. Where's your hope?
Where is it?
You know, are you putting it in something or someone that is just of this world? You know, I mean, not like there can be things that go great. You know, it's not like we shouldn't hope for those things, but your hope, your security. Are you okay? Where are you looking to for that? And is it in something in this world, or is it in Jesus? When you put your hope in Jesus, guys, you will never be let down and never disappointed.
God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant, faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you'll do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast. And let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Every season, God, yeah. God from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same, yeah. Your history can prove there's nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast. And let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Yeah, great is consistent, God. Even in the waiting, when everything around me doesn't look like what you told me, God, you're still faithful. Even in the waiting, when it's cold outside, when the snow falls, when the rain comes, God, you're still good. Even in the waiting, so I will still give you all my praise, all my devotion, because you are worthy, God. Even in the waiting, I will bless your name, yeah. I will bless your name, God. I will bless your name, God. Even in the waiting, I will bless your name. Yes, I will. I will bless your name. Yes, I will. I will bless your name. Even in the waiting, I will bless your name. 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 Even in the waiting, 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 I will bless the Lord at all times, God, and His praises shall continually be in my mouth, be in my hands, be in my feet. I will bless your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your. From the rising sun, the moment I wake to the moment I rest, I'll praise you, 'cause great is your faithfulness to me.
So what are you hoping in? I hope today was a reminder to you, it certainly was to me,
Same.
that whatever is happening, that if you are anchored in Jesus, that you're going to be okay, that He's got you, that you're secure, and that you don't have to be afraid. So let me pray for you guys. Jesus, I thank you so much for every student that's sitting and watching this right now. God, I know that this season has been full of a lot of ups and downs, a lot of things that have felt overwhelming, a lot of things that just haven't been what we thought they were going to be. But Jesus, you haven't changed. You haven't changed one bit. And so God, I pray that tonight you would help us to remember the things that you have brought us through, and that would be a reminder of how faithful you are. And God, I pray that as we move forward from today, that we would put our hope and our trust in you completely, not in the things of this world, but in you, in what is eternal and what is constant and what goes on forever, and in you who we can trust no matter what. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We love you.
See you guys next week.